waiting. So let's begin with our event. So this event, Front End Long Week, is an event organized by 7 worldwide chapters of Code Academy. Code Academy, as you know, is a learning tech platform. It's an aspiring platform coming to India very soon. It's almost in India and it's rising. So welcome to, congrats to that for Code Academy. This chapter is organized by VAT Bhopal chapter along with Helsinki chapter from Finland. Another Kolkata chapter whose chapter leader is Jasleen Sondi. She is also in a collab event with us. We also have Shanghai chapter from mainland China with the chapter leader Joanne. Then again we have Northeast India chapter with the chapter leader Sayantani. They also have a collaboration with Hack Club SIT. The sixth chapter, we have Nepal chapter with their chapter leader Aradhya Gyawali. And at the end, but not the least, we have a Jain University chapter with the chapter leader Ashwin Bharat, who is also the mentor and the speaker for today's session. So, hi Ashwin, congrats to you, and we are so happy to have you here. About the front end event, guys, the front end event is a whole of 7 day event. The front end event is a 7-day event where we'd be covering the basics of JavaScript, HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, and React. The event agenda and details are already sent to you through mail. If you have any queries or doubts, you can always go to the WhatsApp groups and ask your chapter leaders about the events. About the certificate policy, we've made it clear that anyone who attends 3 or more sessions will be awarded the certificates. For the attendance, we'll send the attendance links in the chat box after 3/4 of the session duration is completed. So do remember to fill it. Now about something about my chapter personally, VAT Bhopal chapter is one of the newest chapters in Code Academy, chapter from India. And we host technical events as well as communicational skills events for students. Now, something about Code Academy. So from Code Academy, we have our community manager, Freddy Garcia. Freddy, would you like to say a hi to all of them and maybe tell us something about Code Academy and how our chapters work?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for the introduction, Anmol. Hi, everybody. I'm Fede. I'm calling from New York City today, and I work at Code Academy. I think the best way to describe chapters is a worldwide community of students that come together to work and collaborate and learn on projects related to tech and programming. So I'm really happy to see everybody here today, ready to learn. I think front-end development and web development in general is a really expansive field where there is a lot of jobs and a lot of opportunities right now. So it's great that you're all here to learn today. And I think it's great that Code Academy is spending so much time developing their curriculum in this area. I know that we have React Native courses right now coming out, and also courses on Django. So I think overall, this week of events is going to be really exciting and very useful for everybody.
That's so great that you could, Freddy, he handles all the chapters around the world, and there are more than 200 chapters right now in Code Academy. So having you here, it's our greatest, achievement for the event, and we definitely think that this event would be a grand success and a trailing lead for other chapters to collab. So thank you a lot, Freddy, for coming in and giving us a bit of motivation. Thank you a lot. All right, guys. So for today, the agenda for today's meeting is basics of internet and the roadmap to web development. For today, our speaker is Ashwin Bharat from Jain University chapter. So over to you, Ashwin. And but before that, I want to ask how many of you use internet almost daily? I mean, just let me know in the chat box how many of you do use it daily. Is anyone here present over here who doesn't use internet? And and also, what do you use it for? All right, we have. All right. Over to you, Ashwin. Please start. Thank you. Over to you, Ashwin.
Thank you, Anmol. Am I audible, guys?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Just just a second. I will start sharing my screen. Okay. Can anyone confirm the screen is visible?
Yes,
Yes.
eligible.
Yes, it's possible.
Yes, it is visible.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So I welcome you all once again to join our front-end marathon, a beginner series. Okay. So as you all know, we are the speakers of this event. You just met with Fede and Anmol Jain. So let me introduce myself. I'm Ashwin Bharat from Jain University as a chapter lead. Today we'll be discussing about internet basics. Okay. So before we start, can anyone try to remember that when we try to search for google.com, can anyone know can anyone tell me what is happening behind the screen? You know, hello, hello, am I audible?
Yeah, भैया.
Yes.
Yeah, भैया.
Audible.
Yeah. So when we try to search for a website using our Google browser or any browser that we have, so we can jot down the points into 4 simple steps. Okay. First one is when we search the website. Okay. Next one, what happens is we'll get the IP address of the website. So can anyone tell me what is an IP address from the audience? Anyone, any idea
It's a
what
unique
is an IP address?
address of it's the unique address of a website or a web page over the internet.
Exactly.
Numerical
So an
label.
IP address, yes,
Internet protocol.
exactly. So, so that's all what it is. An IP address is just a address given to one computer over the internet, right? So when we get that IP address, what happens is we request for the website using this IP address. Okay, that will be our third step, and our final step would be, of course, display the website, right? So let's look into each one of them. So when we search for the website, what happens is underneath the hood, our computer will request.
Excuse me, Ashwin.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. So much sorry to interrupt. We have some guests coming in from the university. We'll have to just wait for 5 or 6 minutes. The dean of VIT Bhopal wants to join in. So can
Okay.
we wait
Sure.
for like 5 6 minutes? Would it be feasible?
Sure, bro. Until then, let's have a chat with our audience.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. So, all right. So, uh, over to the audience. So, I'll just quiz you guys with a bunch of keywords that we use around the space of web development. Okay. So, anyone try to volunteer and just uh, inform whatever you know about the topic. Okay. So, let us start. Can anyone say what is a server?
Server is a device like a PC where our website is hosted
Exactly.
or files related to the.
Yes.
Yeah, a server is a computer that stores information that a number of computers can share.
Yes, that's correct, Jadip. Anyone else? Any other answers?
A server is a connection of computers connected through the internet.
Yeah. Good, good.
Or bhaiya, we can correctly call it like a server is a piece of computer hardware or software that provides functionality for other programs or devices that are called clients of that system.
Exactly. You're right again. So let me give you guys an analogy. Okay. So for example, whenever we visit a restaurant, right? Whenever we visit a restaurant, we order our food, right? So whenever we try to order the food, we approach someone called a server, right? So he'll take the list of food what we want to eat, and he will provide us, right? Similarly, in simple terms, okay, a server is just a computer which uh, provides us with the websites that we request to the server. Okay, all right. Uh, then you must have heard something called internet service provider. Can anyone tell me what is an internet service provider?
ISPs are like, for example, Idea and Vodafone and BSNL, all the
It
providers.
provides internet
Exactly, you're
help in
right.
hosting.
Yes, yes. So we have companies like Airtel, BSNL, Vodafone, right? So these companies are called internet service providers. Yeah. So uh, another question. So can anyone tell me what is a DNS server?
Bhaiya, can you please pardon it?
Yeah. Uh,
Bhaiya, can you please pardon the question?
yeah. So anyone can tell me what is a DNS
Domain name
server?
system.
Pretty close. You are pretty close.
Where domain name and IP address is saved.
Exactly.
Anything that connected to the internet.
Yes. So a DNS is nothing but a domain name server. So what a DNS does is it will store the list of all the websites. Okay. So whenever we try to search for any website, what would happen is, let's say www.google.com is there, right? So what it will do, it will store the website and it will store its corresponding IP address that we discussed right now, right? So that we don't need to find the difficulty of typing each and every IP address for ourselves. Instead, we can remember this the domain name of any websites like google.com or Netflix or Amazon. Okay, so that's what is a domain name server. Okay, let us take an example of how the browsing the web works when we search for google.com. Okay, so we have our browser with us, right? We have a Google Chrome, we have Microsoft Edge, we have Firefox. So what happens behind the screen is that these 4 steps. Okay, so when we try to search for the website, it will automatically request a IP address. Okay, after that we'll request the servers using this IP address so that we can display the website. Okay, so let me explain it in detail. Just a second. Okay, so consider you have a laptop or smartphone where you search google.com. Okay, so how does this work? So what happens is, the moment we press enter, this request is forwarded to the ISP. Okay, here this ISP is nothing but internet service provider. We have Airtel, we have BSNL, we have Vodafone in our country, right? So this ISP, what it does is, it will forward this request to something called DNS. A DNS is nothing but a domain name server, where it will store the list of domains. The domains are nothing but the website URLs that we search for in the browsers, along with its corresponding IP addresses. Okay, so why this process is happening is because we all cannot try to remember every IP address out there for each and every website, right? It will be a hectic task for us. So what this DNS does, it will reduce the work that we have to do, so that we can simply remember the website names like google.com, Netflix, Amazon, Twitter, and so on. All right. So after we request this DNS server, we'll we'll get a IP address, right? So to prove what I was saying, if we try to enter this IP address in our Google browser, can anyone tell me what will happen if these steps are right? Will the website display or not? Yeah, just a second. So what we saw in this slide is, we saw this IP address, right? So if I try to enter this IP address instead of google.com, it directly displays it, right? So that's what happens behind the screen. Okay, whenever we try to request for any website, the website will be forwarded to ISP, and we will get this IP address back to us. So this IP address is used to request for the corresponding servers. Okay, so this IP address is nothing but the location of the servers are in the internet. Okay, you can imagine the internet as another virtual world. Okay, in this virtual world, every computer has an IP address. So by computer I mean even servers. The server is also another computer, right? So when we type in this google.com, and we get back this IP address, what happens next is, we will request for the website through Google servers here, for example. And the Google server will return us something called index.html, style.css, script.js. These are nothing but the files that are used to display the website. Okay, these are the coded files that will be returned back to us through Google servers. Okay, and finally we'll be able to see this website on the browser. Okay, now we'll be discussing about something called internet backbone. So before we start, do you have any doubts till now? Anybody?
Not till now.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, good. So let's proceed with what is internet backbone. Okay, so internet is a word that arises due to the combination of interconnection of networks. Okay, internet is nothing but a connection of many networks. Okay, a network can be as simple as connecting two devices, your laptop to your mobile, your laptop to another laptop, and so on, right? So what we have here in this picture is we have our home over here, where we have a modem, right? We use either SIM cards or modem or routers in our home so that we can connect to the internet, right? So what happens behind the screen is we will try to connect with the cell towers that are nearby. Am I right? Have anyone seen cell towers nearby their locality?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you have closely watched near the bottom of the cell tower, you might have seen some cables, right? Some cables which are connected to a box. So what happens is this cables go all the way to the ISP main office. Okay, it will go all the way to the ISP main office, and what happens is after this ISP, there's something called internet backbone. Okay, it's just a. Have you guys ever wondered like where does this ISP get their own internet connection? So this ISP gets their internet connection. This internet service provider connects with the entire world through this internet backbone. Okay, that's what we are going to discuss now. So I will leave this website to you guys. So as you can see over here, the entire world is connected through something called submarine cables. Okay, so in this website, what we can see is the connection of each and every internet service providers beyond their countries and beyond their continents through submarine cables, which are literally present underneath the sea floor. Okay, and just for a second, I'll stop sharing and I'll show you guys a video about how they are actually installing this submarine cables. Okay,
We're headed into the third layer.
so
What's the cable
as you
highway?
can see
That's
over
where
here,
the cables go from the factory down to the dock.
this is
The
a
company we're
factory
gonna go see,
that is
Subcom, is one
present
of the
over
top 4 submarine
US. Okay, so what they do is they use this ship so that they can install the submarine cables under the sea floor. Okay,
Yeah.
and they'll
But
show
the
you
basic problem on the and be
this a submarine kind of this one. Okay, so what this device will do, it will install the submarine cable underneath the sea floor. Okay, and
we have the two basic types. So this
now as you can see this cable
one
types,
is called
this is what they use inside the cable. Okay, this is a fiber optics. So students from a computer science background would have learned about this, or even electrical background. So
lightweight cable.
this
So
is
that's
what
the
they
one that we would
use
in the middle of the ocean.
in the middle of the ocean so that we can connect with each other around the world. Okay, so I'll share my screen again, just a second. Yeah, so is the screen visible to anyone, everyone?
It is visible.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. So there's another resource over here in the slides. So we'll share the slides at the end of the session. Okay. So if you go through this website, this is a image created by the company Kaspersky. They are a security company. What they did is they tried to map how much ever devices possible into the internet. As you can see over here, the very minute dots present in this entire image is nothing but an IP address. Okay, so each and every IP address is connected in some sort of a complex, network of connections. They try to map this over here. Okay, I'll leave that up to you, and let's move on to the next one. So whatever we learned till now, you might have this question, right? How does this actually help as a web developer? So what happens is, you guys, without writing a single line of code, you have learned how to optimize a website. Okay, I will explain you why. So the first point is location of the server. Okay, so whenever you build a website, let's say you have built a website and you have deployed it on the web. Okay, so if the location of the web server is somewhere in the US, and if the users of your website are trying to access your website, do anyone know what will happen? The server is in US and the user is in the India. So what will happen? There will be a latency, right? So the website will be loading for a long time, right? So the location of the server is a vital part in optimizing a website. Okay, that's our first point. And the second point is the number of trips. Okay, let's say the location of this server is very nearby in another state. Okay, so when we try to request the website to the Google servers, for example, if the server is still long enough in such a way that we have to do a multiple number of trips. Trips are nothing but where we connect to another cell tower. When we use our modem, right, or when we use our smartphone, we will connect with the cell tower. Whenever we request this site, first the site will forward the something called packets. Okay, so your request over the internet will be divided into packets. So these packets just have your information of the request, and what will it will do? It will hop on to the cell tower, and then it will hop on to another cell tower, and so on till it reaches the server, right? So if the number of trips increases, again the website will start to go slow and lag in between. Okay, so that's why companies like Google, Netflix, Amazon, what they do, they install their own servers in this main office of internet service provider, the ISP, something called CDN. Okay, so what it will do, they will install this server so that every user will get the same amount of speed they get in the internet connection itself. So that's why whenever you use popular sites, it is very, very fast in terms of the access speed. Okay, and the third one will be size of the files. So whenever the size of the files are bigger, again the website will starts to load slow and slow and slow and slow. So these are the three important key points you have gained till now. Okay, so moving on, does anyone have any doubts till now? We have covered how we browse the web and about internet backbone. Okay, so moving on, let's see what does a web developer do. Okay, so web development is nothing but the work involved in developing a website, right? The work involved in developing a website so that we can deploy it in the internet, right? So web development can range from a simple static website to a plain text to complex web applications. So this can be used for electronic businesses and social network communication, e-commerce, and so on. So let's see what a web developer do. Okay, so you might have heard this three roles popular around the web development field, right? front-end developer, back-end developer, database developer, full stack developer. So in this image, I'll try to clarify you guys what is the role of each and every person. Okay. So starting with front-end developer. So whatever we see in front of the screen, right? You are able to watch this presentation. Am I right? You are able to watch this presentation. So this visual part of the website is taken care by someone called front-end developer. Okay. So what we will do, we use our coding knowledge to create these files called HTML, CSS, as well as JavaScript files. Okay. And there are frameworks in JavaScript so that we can reduce the amount of work the web developer can do. Okay. And in our marathon series, we'll explore more about what are frameworks, what is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript as well. Okay. So don't worry about that. And moving on, a backend developer takes care of the logic of the server. Okay. So we saw how when we try to request a website, the server responds with this couple of files, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files, right? So the server will make sure that whenever a user requests, whenever a user requests to the server, it will respond back with this data. So that's what a backend developer will take care of. Okay. Although a server cannot completely store all of the information. That's why we will have something called a database. So whenever the website is very big and popular like Google or Netflix, what they do is they divide up their work into a server which will process the request, as well as a server which will process the storing part as well. Okay. So the storing part of the server will be known as the database server. So whenever you see or hear the term database developer, so they will take care of the storage part of the backend. Okay. So who is full stack developer? So a person who can develop the front end as well as the back end, is someone we call full stack developer. Okay. So as you can see in the screen, we must have heard a popular tech stack, right? A tech stack called MERN. MERN. MERN stands for MongoDB, Express, React, as well as Node. So MongoDB will be used for this database part, and Express and Node.js will be used for the server part, as well as the React.js framework or library we call it will be used for the front end part. Okay. So moving on, let's go back to the history. Okay, how this term web and web development came into picture. So before we go any further, can anyone tell me who invented World Wide Web? We know in short for WWW. Anyone from the audience? Yes. Yes. Sauvik, Ajay, they got the answer. Ranojit. Yes, you are right. So Sir Tim Berners-Lee was the inventor of World Wide Web. And then another interesting fact is he's the first web developer. Okay. He's the first web developer we all can know. So what he did is he created the first website as well as the first server back in those days. Okay. So this is the first website Sir Tim Berners-Lee created back in those days. Okay. As you can see here, it is a simple HTML website which doesn't even have some stylistic part over this, right? Now, moving on, there is something, some confusion among developers in general that internet as well as www thing are the same. Well, technically they are not same. Okay. So www when we expanded the World Wide Web, is nothing but a protocol, a communication protocol that computers use to speak among themselves. Okay, for example, we use English to uh, even present this presentation, right? So similarly, computers to communicate within themselves, they use this protocol so that they can exchange data with each other. Okay, whereas the internet is the connection of all the networks over the world, right? So in this connection, we use this protocol so that we can share and exchange data with each other. So whenever anyone asks you whether internet or www are the same thing, your answer should be no, right? www is a protocol and internet is a connection of the entire networks over the world. Okay, so moving on, I have provided a resource over to you guys. Okay, there are around 40 maps that explains the internet provided by Vox. So here they have provided the from the basic map to the map that we all see out there that maps the internet. Okay, so I leave it to you guys to check it out. Make sure you check it out. Okay, now comes the interesting part, right? HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, right? So HTML is nothing but a way for us to write text on the websites. Okay, HTML is stands for hypertext markup language. Okay, it's not a programming language; it's a markup language. This is a markup language where we use to display websites in the form of text and hyperlinks. So when I shown you the first website created by Tim Berners-Lee, right? You saw a couple of text and as well as hyperlinks underlined with blue color, right? So those are known as hyperlinks. So HTML is used to do just that, whereas CSS is used to make the website more beautiful. Whatever the designs that you see, whatever the colors, the text, the font, everything can be handled using CSS. So CSS stands for cascading style sheets. Okay, in simple terms, it's a style sheet where we provide each and every type of style that we have to provide for our website. Okay, whereas JavaScript is a programming language where we use it to provide more interactivity with the user, right? For example, we have a sign up form, a login form, a registration form. When we click a button, each and every action that we do on a website is taken care of JavaScript. Okay, so back in those days when JavaScript was first introduced, there was a company called Netscape. Okay, so what this company did, they created their own browser, the new browser called Mosaic. Okay, so along with that, they also introduced the world to JavaScript. Okay, but what happened later is that there was something called browser walls. Okay, so what happens is each and every company, a software company, was trying to create their own web browser along with their own version of JavaScript. So when these kind of issues arise, developers felt very difficult to use which version of JavaScript, right? So if we have one version for Google Chrome, one version for Firefox, it won't be very good to learn each and every part of them, right? So a standard emerged among the web development field called ECMAScript. So whenever you hear ECMAScript and JavaScript, they are the same. The only difference is ECMAScript is a standard. Okay, it's a standard which is followed by everyone as a web developer, so that the standard is applicable for every browser across the world. Okay, so that is what ECMAScript is. So there's an interesting documentary that you can see on YouTube. Okay, I have provided this link with you guys, so you can refer it later. And there are a couple of other resources as well. So that's it from my side, guys. Thank you all for attending. So now I'll be asking, any questions, any doubts. Now's the time to ask. Anyone? Okay, that's a good question. Right. So the question is there any similarity between Java and JavaScript? Okay. So this question is something like
Right.
similar. Yeah. Yes, Jaideep.
No, bhaiya, I would just like to answer this question.
Sure. Go ahead.
The similarity between Java and JavaScript is that it is the similarities there between the car and carpet.
Exactly.
Basically, the JavaScript was not originally named as JavaScript. It was a different language invented in around 1997 or 1996. At
Yeah,
that time, Java was bit popular, so this language was named as JavaScript.
exactly. So for marketing purposes, what they did is they renamed their language as JavaScript. Okay. So you may see JavaScript to use object-oriented programming concepts and functional programming concepts. The concepts exist in every language, but that doesn't mean they are equal. Okay. Fundamentally, how the language is built, it is different. So that's the answer. Okay. Any other questions? No. TypeScript is a superset of JavaScript. Akhil. So TypeScript is nothing but a superset of JavaScript. So what Microsoft did, they used this JavaScript and they added rules to it. Okay. So JavaScript is a weakly typed language. So you will understand more about this later on the sessions. Okay.
Bhaiya, JavaScript was originally named as LiveScript, as I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Thank you, Jaideep. That was a good and correct answer, and that was a good question. Like, any other questions, guys?
Bhaiya, I just wanted to ask that
Yeah.
in a website like HTML, if it compare it with a human skeleton, so
Okay.
means I'm not sure about it, but I wanted to know how does this three languages work in computing a website. As far as I know, means I have an idea. I think like HTML works as the skeleton part, CSS works as that muscular part covering the skeleton part, and
Yes.
JavaScript adding the animations to it or design
Exactly.
that we need. Am I right?
Yeah, you are right. So the
So
design part, the muscles
yeah,
and the clothes,
yeah,
all are taken care by CSS. Okay.
yeah,
What
bhaiya. So
JavaScript does,
as
yeah,
these three things are on different language, so how would we combine them to form a one website?
yeah, that's a good question. Okay. So tomorrow we'll be learning about HTML and CSS. Okay. So how we'll connect is we will use some code in such a way that the files will be linked to each other. Okay. We'll discuss that tomorrow for sure. We'll use something called link tag. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Any other question, guys?
No questions, I guess.
Yeah.
Ashwin, are we done with today's session?
Yes, Anmol.
All right. So thank you so much, Ashwin. Thank you so much for giving your time. Thank you, Hardik, Ayushman, and Nishan from the Geeks for Geeks team. They helped us a lot for this event, and I cannot just say it all. For today, the attendance form is put in the chat section, so please do fill it. Although due to technical errors, we'll consider everyone's attendance for today. Also, for the material links is in the chat section also. So today's material will be uploaded by 9 p.m. in that drive file itself, so you can access it from there. Tomorrow we'll start with HTML, CSS, and Java. HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap. Since HTML is a very preliminary language and you most of all have learned it, we've sent you the material for that also today itself, so that you can revise it and come tomorrow, so that when tomorrow you come, you could get a grasp quicker on that. All right, guys. This is it for today's session. Thank you so much for attending. See you tomorrow at the same time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aya.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
Is there any WhatsApp group?
Yes, Achintya, there is one WhatsApp group. You can just ask which chapter are you from? Are you from any chapter? Specific chapter? All right, I'll send a WhatsApp group in the chat section itself.
Yes, I think it would be better if you send the WhatsApp link in the chat.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for coming. Although today was a mess, but it won't happen from tomorrow.
But the
Thank you
event
everyone
was
for
very well
joining the
arranged.
session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question regarding the WhatsApp group.
Yes, please ask me.
I have just tried to enter the link right now, and it's saying that I cannot join the room because it is full.
All right. So it might be the WhatsApp group might be full. I'll send you another link.
It shows that it has 257 participants.
Yes, actually, it's the limit for WhatsApp groups, 257 plus one. So that might be a problem. I've sent you this link in the chat box. You can join it.
Yes, I
Samin,
have joined it. Thank you.
did it work?
Yes, it worked. I could join successfully.